last video, we got this far with our social blog app. We were able to create posts and view them, and we were also able to create new accounts and log in with those accounts. In this video, I want to show you how to complete the system where users can follow each other. I want to implement the functionality to allow users to upload pictures and videos through the Froala editor. And then I want to show you how to make this all secure using the Filestack security. But before I do any of that, I want to create the authors page so you can see information about the authors that are on the app. So let me go here to views.py. And what I'll do is I'll create another route. I'll call this author. And then it's going to have an ID here for the author ID. This will be author ID. And I want to return a render template author.html. And I'm going to pass a user object. So this user is going to be user query get and then the ID. So it will be the ID of the author. So now let's go to that page, author 1. And we see I have the author information here. So the name, the bio, and then here the post by that author. But in this spot, we notice a blank, and this is where the image of the author is supposed to go. So let's fix this. So the reason this is happening is, let's go in the author template, is because I need to put the location of the image here. So how do I get that location? So I have two ways. I can build it manually by using the Filestack CDN. So it's something like HTTPS, CDN, Filestack, and so on. But I don't want to use that approach. Instead, I'm going to go over to models.py, and I'm going to create a method which will be used to determine the URL of the picture that they have. And I'm using this to show you how to use file link and Filestack. So first I need to import from Filestack something called file link. And then I can create this method. So the method is called profile picture URL, takes in self with no other parameters. And I'm going to return file link. So I want to take file link and instantiate it. So I instantiate it using the handle. So that is stored on self.profile picture. And I want to return the URL for that picture. So on the file link object, one of the attributes is called URL. So if I do .url here, it will return the actual URL of the image. And then I can just put this in the image source and it will display. So let me go back to the author template. And here I can say user.profile picture URL, call it, and then I refresh the page. And now we see the image of the author appears because I'm using that file link object to get the URL for that particular handle. So what I want to do now is demonstrate something. So I will open a new window and I'll go to my app and sign up and create another user. So this user will be test user. Let's say test@test.com. I'll put in a password. I'm just a test user. And for the profile picture, I'll select the same thing. Profile picture, and then upload. So I'll create an account and then I'll go log in using that user. So test@test.com, password 1. I'm logged in. And now I'll go back to the author page and we see I get this error. So this is supposed to be a social media app. So I should be able to follow users. And this template is expecting an attribute called is following. So I need to set up the system so that users can follow each other. So let me do that now. So I'll start by going over to models.py and I want to create a new model called follow. So I can just make it down here. This will be a class and I'll just call this the follow model. And it's going to have an ID that is an integer and it's going to have two main columns on it. So one will be a follower ID and the other will be a followed ID or a follow EID. So followed ID, and they're both going to be the same thing. So DB column, DB integer, DB foreign key, and their foreign keys back to the user table. So I can copy this and paste it on the other one because they're the same. So both of these will be user IDs. It's just that one user ID will be here because that person is following another person. So let me save that and create it in my database. So I'll start up Flask shell and then do DB create all. And then I'll just open up my database to confirm that the follow table is there. I see it. So now that I have that, I want to add a relationship on the user that will just show all the users that a particular user follows. So I can create that here under the post relationship. So I'll call this following, and then DB relationship. It's going to use the follow table for this relationship. And because there are two foreign keys on follow that have the same table and column here, I need to specify exactly what this represents. So here I can do foreign key underscore, and then I just need to put the follow dot follower ID, right? Because this is the ID that I'm concerned with. I want the users that a particular user is following, so I need the follower ID. If I wanted the users that follow this user, I'd use the followed ID here. But this is follower ID. And since I'm using the model like this, what I can do is I can cut this and just put it above so I don't have any issues with this here. But I can also make this a string. So now that I have that, I can go ahead and build this is following method. So I'll create it down here. I'll call this is following, and it takes in self and a user ID. And I'll just say return user ID in, and then f dot followed ID for f in self dot following, right? So it's going to get all of the followed IDs in here, and it's going to return if the user ID that I'm asking about is in that list. So does this user follow the particular user ID? That's the idea here. So let me save this and start the app again. And this just needs an S on the end. So let me try that again. Foreign keys needs an S. Now it works. I can refresh the page, and now I see this follow button at the bottom. So I want to make this button work so I can follow this user. So to do that, I'll go back to views and I'll create a route for handling follows. So I'll call this slash follow, and it's going to take in an ID. This will be the user ID that I want to follow. This will be login required because only logged in users can follow other users. And then the name of the function can also be follow with ID as the parameter. So first I want to get the user that I'm trying to follow. So user query get ID. And then I can verify that the user is actually there. So I can say if user, and then I can create the following relationship. So I'll use F to represent follow relationship. I'll say follow where the follower ID equals the current user.id. And then the followed ID is equal to the user.id that I'm asking for here. I can also just pass ID directly if I wanted to. And then I want to append this followed object to the current user. So current user dot following dot append F. And I can do this because I just created that relationship. So then I'll go ahead and save this. And what I can do is I can redirect back to the author page. So return redirect URL for, and then main.author. And I want to use the ID of that author. So ID equals ID, just like that. And then the ID should be in here, the URL for, not outside. So let me just move that and remove the comma on the end here. And then if no user is found, I'll just return some text saying user not found. But in our case, we shouldn't get to that point. Next thing I want to do is I want to put the URL for this on that button that we saw. So I'll open up the author template again. I'll go down to the follow button and I'll just put the href on it. So the href will be URL for main.follow, and then ID equals user.id. And remember, the user represents the author that I'm currently looking at. So I'll save that. And now I can go back, refresh the page, hit follow again, and now I see that I'm following down here at the bottom. So I'm now following this user, and on the home page, I'll see this user's posts. So let's go back to the other window, and I'll create some posts after logging in with this user. Let me go to /login and log in with the first user. So Anthony at prettyprinted.com, and then password 1, log in. And then I'll go to create, and I'll create another post. So second post, and I'll just put something like, this is the second post from Anthony. Okay, just keep it simple. And then create posts. And now it should be there. And then what I can do is I can go back to the code and create the home page. So the idea of the home page is I'll show posts from users that I'm following and a few random posts from other users so I can discover new users to follow. So I'll put this here at the top. This will be main routes and just slash for the index. and then I'll call this function index. So there are two cases here. If I'm logged in, if I'm authenticated, I want to see posts from all the users that I follow, and I want to see some random posts. But if I'm not logged in, that means I don't follow any users, so I just want to see random posts. So I can say if current user dot is authenticated, or I can even just do if current user, but let's just say is authenticated. What I can do is I can write a query to get all the posts from the users that I'm following, or the last 5 posts. Let's just keep it concise, but of course you can make this whatever number you want. So I'll call this following posts, and this will be a post query, and this will be multiple lines. So post.query, and then I'll have a filter, and I want to filter by all the authors that the current user is following. So I can say post.authorID.in, and then this takes in the value. So I can say f.followed ID for f and current user.following. Okay, so this will filter by all the users that the user currently follows. And then I can order by post ID descending to put them in reverse chronological order. And then I can limit this by 5 and then return all 5. So that's following posts. And then I can also query for some random posts. So we'll say random posts, post.query. Once again, this is going to be a bit long. So now I want to say that the post isn't written by the current user. So the current user doesn't see their own post on the homepage. So I can say post author ID does not equal current user dot ID. Then I can write another filter. And I'm just looking for the posts by authors who I'm not following. So it's going to be very similar to the one I just wrote, but not in instead of in. So post author ID not in, and then I'll get the list of users that I'm following. So I'll just copy this. It's the exact same thing. And then finally, I'll have the order by, and I'm going to order by a random. So db.function random, and then limit this to 5 posts, and then return all 5 or up to 5. Okay, so that handles the case for the user who is logged in. Now for the user who isn't logged in, first I'll do is I'll put following posts to none, because this user can't follow anyone because they're not logged in. And then I'll create the random posts. And for this one, it's going to be a bit easier. So post query order by, and then that same random thing. So db funct random, I'll limit by 10 since they're not logged in, and just return all. And then I just need to return that to the template. So down here, we'll do return render template index.html, and then following posts, and then random posts equals random posts. So let's save that. And now I'll go back and I'll go to the home page, and I see there's nothing here for posts you may like, because this account represents the author, and the author has created all the posts here. So there are only 2 posts in the system, and the user that's logged in created those, so you can't see anything. But posts you may like would be from other users. So let me go over to the other one. Now I'm logged in as this user. Let me create, and I'll just call this test posts from test author. This is my test posts. So I'll create posts here. We see created posts. Now let me go back here and refresh, and we see under posts you may like, test posts from test author. I see this here because I'm logged in, but I don't follow this user test. Now let me go back to test and go to the home page. And now I see posts from authors you follow. So here, because I follow Anthony, I see Anthony's posts here. And then for posts you may like, I don't see anything because there are no other users in the system that I don't follow that I could see here. So that's the idea. Like if I had 100 users, I'll follow some of them, and then others I won't follow. So all the posts from users that I follow will appear here at the top, and then posts from other people would just appear here in the bottom, and it would be up to 5. And like I said, they will be random. So everyone gets a different 5. Okay, so with that done, what I want to do, since I mentioned it before in the last video, is I want to set up all the redirects. So let me just go from top to bottom and set up the redirects where they work. So I see here in sign up, instead of returning account created, I want to return a redirect. Now that all of my main routes have been defined, I want to return redirect URL4, and this will be main.login. So after they sign up, they get redirected to the login page. For login, I want to return them to the home page, the index. So return redirect URL for main.index. For logout, I can also return them to the index. So I'll just copy that and put it here for logout. For creating a post, I want to redirect to the post page. So redirect URL for main.post. And then the ID will be post ID. So the post that I'm creating here, I'll immediately redirect to that post page. So I believe that is it for the views here. Yeah, everything has a redirect on it. Now I want to go into templates and just work with the links. So first I'll start with the nav bar. And here for home, I can do URL for, and this will be main.index. For create posts, and I'll just copy this and modify it. For create posts, this will be main create. For logout, it will be main.logouts. For sign up, it will be main.signup. And for login, it will be main.login. So if I go back to the app and reload this, I see I can go to create page, I can go to home page, I can log out. Actually, I see there's an issue here, just a typo. So let me go to the link here and just remove that extra I, go back, and it should be working. Next, I'll go to author. And is there anything in here that I need? Should be the URL for the post. Yeah, so for each post, there's a URL. So I'll put URL for, this will be main.post. And then the ID will be posts.id. On the index, let's see, we need one for the title and one for the author. So we'll have URL for main.post, and then the ID will be post.id. For the author, we'll have URL for main.author. ID equals posts.author.id. And the same thing down here. So I can just copy these because it's the same idea. So for the post title, I'm linking to the post. And for the author name, I'm going to link to the author page. Okay, so that should be enough for the index. Login shouldn't have anything. Already did the nav bar. Create post shouldn't have anything. And the post should have something. So let's see. Here for the author, once again, this will be URL for main.author, and then ID equals posts.author.id. And I believe that's it. So let me go to the app, refresh. I can click around a little bit, go to the author page, go back home, and so on. Go to sign up. And yeah, it looks like my links are working now. Okay, so now what I want to focus on is the ability to upload images and videos in Froala. So if you look here on the toolbar, you have one for insert image, and you can click an image and upload it. And then you also have, by just clicking this more rich, you have the option for uploading a video. So if I go here to upload video, I can select a video to upload. So I want to enable this functionality so I can upload images and save them to Filestack, or videos and save them to Filestack as well. So let's get started on that. So the first thing I need to do is I need to go to the create posts template. So let me just close everything that isn't create post and open up create post. So we see here we're using Froala. So to get this to work, I need to pass some options to Froala. But before I do that, what I want to do is inside of my form, I just want to put a section for the Filestack handles. So Filestack handles, because like the sign up form, I want to keep track of all the videos that are going to be uploaded. So not the images necessarily, but I want to keep track of all the videos that are going to be uploaded, and I'll explain why in the next video. But here I'll just need this. And then for the Froala editor, what I want to do is add some options. So I'll create an object there. And the first option is called image upload URL. So I'm going to send all the images to an endpoint that I'll create called upload media. And I'll do the same thing for video uploads. So video upload URL, and I want to send this to upload media. So they'll go to the same endpoint for processing. I want to pass some extra parameters to determine if the file that is passed is an image or a video. So we'll say image upload params is going to be an object. And for the params, I'll say type is image. And I'll do the same thing for video upload params, and the type will be video. So that's all I need to upload. And I want to add one more thing, which will be an event. So this will be an events object and then the name of the event. So the event will be video inserted. And this will call this function when a video gets inserted. So this takes in two things. It takes in the video and the response. And the response here is going to have the Filestack handle. So this is the purpose. I'll have the Filestack handle here, which comes from my upload media. I'll show you that in a second. And then I want to add it to my list of Filestack handles. So what I can do is I can say let input equals document create elements, create input element. And I want to set the attributes type to be hidden. So I can add hidden inputs. I want to set the attribute of name to be video handle. And then finally, I want to set an attribute value to be the handle. So response here is a string, but it's JSON parsable. So I'll do JSON.parse and then the response. And I simply want to get the handle out of here. So once again, I'm actually returning this response. So I'll show you that in just a moment. And then I want to add this to the list of Filestack handles. So get element by ID. I have that Filestack handles. And then I want to append this input that I just created. So this is everything needed on the front end. So Froala can upload images to the server. And then now if I go to views, I can create that endpoint. So main routes, this will be upload media. And I want to create the function with the same name. So upload media. And the first thing I'll do is I'll get the file that's passed. So it's in a key called file. So media file equals requests files gets and then the file. And then I want to upload this to Filestack. So before I can do this, I need to go up to the top and import a class called client from Filestack. So from Filestack, import client. And then also I want current app. This comes from Flask, so current app. This way I can get the configuration information. So I'll go down here back to my upload media. So this represents the object that was uploaded. So it can be like an image or a video. And what I want to do is I want to start by creating the Filestack client. So I need this before I can actually upload something. So I instantiate the client class and I use current app.config and then Filestack API key. So this comes from my .env file. Next, I'll just call this output, which means I'm uploading something. So I'm going to call client upload. Then I'll pass the file object, which will be media file. And then I'll have store params so I can store the original file name to Filestack. So store params and then file name. And this will be media file.file name. So this is for both images and videos. Like I said, in the next video, I'll have an if statement to do different things depending on if it's video or an image. But for now, I'll treat them in the same way. So this is what I was talking about when I was talking about the response. The main thing that I need here is a link. So Froala will use this link to display the image or video in the editor, and it will save the link when I save the post. So output.url, and then handle is the thing that I'm concerned with. So output.handle. So note that this output is a file link object, so I can call URL on it just like I called on the one in the profile picture. And also this handle is another thing on the file link object. So now let me go back here to Froala and refresh, and I'll say image post as the name, and I'll just upload an image. So let me click here. I'll try photo 1 and I'll upload it, and I get a 405 error. That's simply because I did not put methods equals posts. So Froala sends a post request, not a get request. So let me try that again. I'll upload an image, photo 1. Now we see uploading 100%. And if it works, I should see the image appear here. Okay, so this is the image that I uploaded. If I go to Filestack and refresh my content browser, I should see the image I just uploaded. And here it is. I see photo 1. So now if I save the post, create posts, and we see the image appears here because Froala put it in the HTML. And when I load the page, I see the generated HTML. So with that done, the last thing I want to talk about in this video is security. So Filestack has security options here. So let me go to security and I'll go to policy and signature. And what I want to do here is I want to turn on security. So turn on security and I'll put in my password. And now we see security has been turned on. And now let me go back to my app and refresh. And we see the image is gone. So the reason why the image is gone is because I didn't put the security part in the URL for the image. So the idea here is I need to create a policy and it basically says what can happen with the file that has this policy. I'm going to keep it really simple and just use the expiration date, but you can use whatever you want. So let's use a day in the future. And then it gives me this JSON policy down here. So I'll copy this and I'll use it in just a moment. But you can select any of these options. So like pick, read, stat, write, store, convert, remove, and so on. You can limit it to a particular handle. You can do whatever you want. But because mine is pretty simple, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this for the policy in all the places I use security in my app. So you can have security on a file by file basis, or you can have security for all the files. So I'll just do it for all the files. So I'll copy that. And what I want to do is I want to go to my .env and I'll create a couple of more configuration values. So one will be Flask Filestack security secret. And I'll put that in just a moment. And then I'll need one for Flask Filestack security policy. And I'll just paste in the thing that I just copied from the dashboard. So this expiration, which is just a day from now. And then the secret is up here. I can show it, copy it, and paste it in here. So anytime I change this env file, I need to restart the server. And now let me set up this security. So first I'll go to models.py because I want to work on the author security first. So I just need to hard refresh this and now the picture goes away. And I want to show the correct URL. So right now this URL is no longer correct because there's no security associated with it. So what I can do to get this to work is I can import the security class from Filestack. And also I want to import current app from Flask. So I have access to the configuration. So from Flask, import current app. And then I'll go down to the profile picture URL and I'll set up the security. So I'll say security equals security, the class. And the first argument will be the policy. So current app.config. And I want the Filestack security policy. And then the second argument will be my secret. So current app config and then Filestack security secret, just like that. And now when I return the file link, I just need to add the security here. So I can do security equals security. And then one last thing I need to do is I need to address a minor bug in the Filestack library. So what I'll do is I'll open up my virtual environment, go to lib64, Filestack, mixins, and then common.py. And I simply want to add something here on line 23. I want to say security equals self.security. So this is a minor bug in the library and I'm addressing it here, but hopefully by the time you watch this video, it has been updated in the library so you don't have to do this yourself. So let me close this and then refresh the author page. And now we see the image appears. And if I view source, I see this long URL. It still has the handle, which is over here on the left, but now it has all the security information as well. So I can close this. And now I want to address the security for the uploaded images and videos. So let me go over to views.py and I need to import that security from Filestack as well. So import security. And then I'll go down to the upload media and I'll instantiate security. So it's going to be the same thing. I'll just copy this and paste it in here. So I'll instantiate it here. And you can put the security on the client or the object when you upload it. So I'll put it when I upload it. So let's do security equals security, just like that. And with the outputs, you have to put the security on it again, or you can use signed URL. So I'll use signed URL and security equals security. And I'm missing a comma. And there's still more that I want to do with this because now I can upload images and they will have a security part to the URL added. But when I save it to the system, I want the ability to change the security string for each image and video that are in my system. That's because I can change my security policy at any time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to models and I'm going to do this trick here. So I'm going to add an event on SQL Alchemy. So this will be db.events.listens for, and I'm going to be listening for something on the post model. So that would be before insert. So before I insert into the database, I want to run the function defined here. So before insert, and it takes 3 parameters. So mapper, connection, and target. I'm only concerned with the target. And then I'm going to add some regular expression stuff. So let me import RE. And then down and before insert, what I want to do is I want to remove the security string that gets saved to the file, and I want to replace it with a placeholder. And then when I go to display the information in the post, I'm going to replace the placeholder with the security information. So here, target.body, I'm going to substitute out the security string for a placeholder. So to do this, I need R, and then I'll write this regular expression. So it's going to start with /security, security equals, and then I'm going to keep going until I get to another slash. So this is just the format of the security string. And then I want to replace it with a placeholder. So /Filestack underscore security. So this is just a placeholder. It has no other meaning. And then I'm doing that in target body, right? So it's taking the original target body, replacing the security string with a placeholder called Filestack security, and then it's setting the target body to be that. So when it gets saved to the database, it no longer has the security string, it just has the placeholder. So let me go ahead and save that. And now what I want to do is on the post, I want the ability to take a post and replace the placeholder with the actual security string. So I'll make this a property and I'll call the function under called body with security. It's going to take in self. I want to add the security. So what I can do is I can just copy it from the profile picture one, paste it here. And then I want to get the security part of the URL. So I'll call this security string. And then I'll do security as URL string. And then I want to return self.body, so the body of the post, and I'll be replacing all the instances of Filestack security, so that placeholder that I just created, with the security string. So I know that was a lot, but hopefully you could follow. And then finally in the template in post, instead of just returning post.body here, I need to do body with security because body by itself no longer works. So let's try this out. Hopefully there are no bugs. I'll create a new post. I'll call this security post. And then I'll upload an image. So upload an image. Let's try photo 2 and let's see if it works. We see the image appear here. I'll create posts. Target is not defined. So here I just have a typo. So that should be target in the parameters. I can go back and upload an image again. Let's try photo 3 this time and then create posts. And now I see the post is working. Let me view source and we see it has the security string here. But if I go in my database and then select star from posts, on the last post here, we see the Filestack security. So this is the placeholder. So the placeholder gets saved in the database, but when it's actually time to display it to the user, the placeholder gets replaced with the actual security string. So like I said, I know that was a lot, and that's kind of the stuff that's necessary if you want to use security. Of course, if you don't want to use security in your app, then you don't have to, and then you can avoid having to write this. It's completely up to you. So that's all I wanted to cover in this video. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how to transform images and videos that you upload through the Froala editor. So in addition to just saving the images, you can make some changes to them like flip them, flop them, crop them, enhance them, and so on. And for videos, you can do certain conversions as well. So I will see you in the next video so we can get to those things that you can do with videos and images.